city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Astrothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is June 13th, YC126, and this is the Eve Universe Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for coming, hanging out, settle on down, get your coffee or tea. This is the last show of mine before my son goes into summer break. And I have no idea what life is going to be like at that point. I promise nothing. I will do my best. I'm sure there's going to be stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'll still be able to stream and stuff like that. But, you know, obviously it's a lot easier when he's going to school regularly. So this is our last show of this regular scheduled program, as it were. So let's get the most out of it. And today I wanted to talk about equinox a little bit more. It seems to be the big topic of the day. And today I want to talk a little bit about how it's been rolling out and kind of there has been some issues. There's been some ups and some downs, and there's been a lot of, as always, like a lot of rapidly moving information. Things are becoming obsolete as time goes on and things change. And also just like, you know, narratives are emerging. So, you know, there's a lot of things I wanted to talk about this. The good, the bad, and the ugly is one Reddit post on Eve, r/Eve talked about it, and see what we have to think about it. But in the meantime, make sure to like the channel or the video if you like it. I did come out here to Solitude, to the Trace Cosmos, to show you guys this amazing site. The Trace Cosmos is, of course, you know, the gravitational observatory is above a lava planet, which is one of the planets that got, well, all the planets got their visuals renewed. So I thought that this would be a really cool visuals and stuff. You got to put the song at the there is, if you go on my if you just go onto my YouTube and you search for Wrecking Machine, that video is just a video is on there. You don't have to. As much as I appreciate you watching the stream, if you just want to watch the song, you can just pull up the video for the song. What's up, Tranquilla? So, yeah. Also, I do want to say thank you to Bash for that $10 dono at the beginning of the show. You are a mad lad. So today we have, you know, the patches over the last couple of days. We've got news about the Vanguard playtest that's coming out. And we have some updates based on what we have learned in the last few days about how the expansion works. What's up, lazy one? Let's see. All right, so let's begin. This is my ship. It's now painted. It's called Trigger. It's my skin. I like it. A lot of people like it. Tranquilla Mare, thank you for that 5 gifted subs. I almost said skins. On behalf of... God, why is my screen all the way... My orientations are a little bit more extreme than normal today. On behalf of Ray, Grima, Brad, Tysa, and Matix, and of course myself, Tranquilla, thank you so much for that, making this all possible and getting them those cool emotes. Any rate, so, you know, this is what I've come up with the skinning program. So far, I did pay, what, 50 plex or something like that to make it, and then 50 plex to upgrade it. You designed a Stormbringer I might like, Fire Rescue, that's cool. We were working on some, like, rescue skins last night. Where'd you get the dark black? Hold on. If you go into SKINR, Let me turn on a desktop audio, turn off browser. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So this is Dark Abyss Gloss. So it's the second row down, third. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it was 50 plex to make this thing. Plus I paid 50 plex to speed it up or whatever. And that is one of the big things that people have been talking about recently is the cost of the skins. And I want to look into this a little bit more. Actually, let's just look at this. Here's the thing that gets me about the way that these skins work, okay? So, if we've got a ship, first of all, they had said that it mattered what ship you had, right? So, a frigate should cost less than a battleship, for example. Well, here we see the frigate is 30 plex. Is this actually going to do it now? If I go to like a Dominic's, its plex is it's still gonna be 30 plex. If I go to an Obelisk, it's 30 plex. So it looks like the base cost, no matter what, is going to be 30 plex. Right? I'm not really interested necessarily in like what it should be or whatever. We're looking at what it is and whether or not there's problems or, you know, whatever. But like we're more just trying to look at the actual mechanics of it because I feel like there's a lot of confusion about it, including from myself, based on even what CCP saying about it was kind of wrong. So, I think the finish. Okay, hold on. Oh, the finish now price scales with the skin. Hold on one second. So if I go here and I set this to pink, and I hit create skin, and I go whatever, then it's 150 and 30 and 3 hours and 36 minutes. If I go back and I change this into an Atron, or Tristan, let's say, same exact thing, 30 plex, create skin. No, everything's the exact same. The time, the plex, the sequencers. If all I do is change the ship, none of the other numbers, none of the cost change. So the cost is 100%. As of right now, is this feature open to alpha? Yes, but you can only do it to alpha-friendly ships. The ship is more like a multiplier rather than an absolute cost. Yeah, we're going to look at that in a second. So, well, kind of. So if we look at this and let's bump this up to 35. Okay, so if I change this color and that color and that color and put, really? There, 35. First and foremost, here's the thing. When CCP first explained this, they said that if a element is limited, then you don't have to pay for it in plex or in alignment units. But here's the thing. That's not true. This Holoviolet that I have is a limited use. You can see I've got one use for it left. And yet, when I put it on the ship, it goes from 30 plex to 35 plex. In fact, it's a greater increase in cost. It's a greater increase in cost than this other one that is unlimited. So, but let's say I have this and it's 50 plex now, okay? With everything I have, we have 50 plex, 900, and 450, 1 day, 8 hours, 24 minutes. And if we go back and we change this back into a Dominic's, let's say. Wait, hold on. Yeah, it goes from 50 plex to 75 plex, right? For the same exact skin. And this is 900, 450, 3 days, 54 minutes. So it's the additional pieces that scales up, not the base cost. Like, as they pointed out, it's like a multiplier applied on top of the fixed amount that it adds. Now, part of the problem is how obtuse some of these systems are, right? Like, it's kind of hard to figure out what I need to do. So here, if I turn it to this skin, it makes it 90 plex, even though that's a limited use. Oh, no, it's, yeah. Not all of the unlimited skins cost the same amount, which is kind of confusing. And the ones that are the limited use are costing just as much plex as the unlimited use ones. Which really sucks, because that means in order to... So here's the weird thing about this, and this is where people start to get into the pain of this, right? Now, these things could theoretically drop from other places, but if you look in the Paragon Hub, you can see that this Seraphim Gold that I got is 35 plex. So here's the thing. Remember, I pay 35 plex for the honor and privilege to be able to use this 3 times on a ship. Just so that when I put it on a ship, we put the metallic on, it goes from 30, so I pay 45 plex. 45 plex on top of, for one use of the Seraphim Gold, on top of the 35 plex I spent just to have the privilege to have the Seraphim Gold. And if you look, compared to, like, let's say a cheaper color, I could color it red without paying any plex. So when I say it costs 45 plex, I'm saying, like, that's the difference between coloring it yellow and coloring it this gold. I have to pay for the gold twice. Once to use the gold, once to have the paint to use, and then a second time to apply that paint to something nice like a battleship. And then if I go back to... If we go to like an Algos, we'll see... Yeah, the Seraphim Gold adds another 20 plex on the Algos just to use it. Now, the thing that the limited use does do, the thing that does do is, if we create this skin, we can see that because I used a limited use skin, it doesn't require any sequence binders. So it doesn't change the plex cost, but it does change the sequence binders cost, which is really bizarre. So, like, what that means is, and this is what's important. So if we look at the daily login rewards, right? Tomorrow, we're going to get this 2 uses of Deep Void Matte Limited, right? But we have... Already we have... No, we don't. We don't have Deep Void Matte at all. Never mind. Deep Void Gloss. No, actually, we don't have... That's actually one that we don't have, which is actually kind of interesting. Never mind. That totally throws into my idea out the window. But let's say this Faded In Limited one, right? So on day 6, we're going to get the Faded In Limited. But the thing is that if we open up... I know we talked about this the other day, but more has come to light. If we open up the SKINR system, and we open up the Fade, we'll see that the Fade costs 5 plex on this Magnate. 5-plex yeah, 10-plex on the Dominic's. And I think it doesn't matter what color it is. Well, yeah, if I do pink, it's even more. But oh, I could keep it down to 35. Any rate, my point is that this unlimited skin, when I go to create it, it's going to, I didn't mean 666. It's going to require these Kerr sequencers and alignment sequencers. Now, the Kerr sequencers are because of the gloss. If I go back, if I pick here a limited skin, like this lilac, right? I've got 3 uses of lilac. So if I hit create skin now, you'll see I pay 0 Kerr because I'm now using limited, a limited color, but I'm still using the infinite fade, like the unlimited use fade. So in a few days, if I went and did this exact same thing, it would still cost 50 plex, but the thing that you're not going to be paying for is the 400 alignment sequencers. That's what you get for having the limited version. Yeah, there were several of us. We had somebody who was like on Tuesday would have gotten an epic skin, but just never gets to have it now. So, well, basic skins in the future. So here's the thing, though. All of this said, you can still make some pretty reasonable skins, right? Like, especially if you don't overdo it. At the same time, if we look at the actual Nest store, you know, even this recolor, like Dominic's Ruby Stargazer, right? So let's say, so there's red and there's white. There's technically this thing projected at the top, but I don't think we have that right now. So let's pretend, let's just look into building that exact ship if we can. So there's no, let's just put a white stripe at the top just to, like, pretend. Increase its cost a little bit. We're going to rotate it so that way it's going pretty... This is true. One of the things that we definitely need is more precision tools on things like the rotation. Like, I want to be able to type in a pixel perfect number instead of this, like, almost got it, don't got it type thing. Especially since the rotation itself, like, isn't actually 100% dead on. In other words, if you put it to 0, it doesn't actually, like, line up correctly. There we go. And then we put red as the primary color. Where is it? Ruby Sunraiser. Sungrazer? Whatever. So, it's definitely not the right color of red. We're going to go with that instead. I mean, yeah, that's basically it. 50 plex. So half the price of buying it on the Plex store, I can recreate this skin. Arguably a little bit better because I actually like the stripe, and you can customize it too. I can make it... Now, if I go with like a metallic, then it's going to be more expensive. Like, oh, God. Speaking of which, can we just say, Precursor Plate is by far my favorite color out of, like, everything. It is the fucking winner. Yesterday, this is one of the skins that I came up with. Just dinking around, just further showing how much I love the precursor. I think this one will sell. This is a pretty clean algo skin. It's got that like turquoise color. Hey, Nth. How's it going? Are the new cap micro jump drives BPCs and null sec data sites? I have ran sites in HiSec for 4 hours yesterday. No luck. I don't know. I haven't seen any either, nor have I heard anybody finding him. Oh, alt and scroll. Oh, you do have precision. Hold on a second. Yeah, if I do control and scroll wheel, I rotate. That does the rotation. By the way, pro tip. So this is how I get a lot of my cool effects, like on both of my ships that I have right now that like some people have liked. So what we actually have here is just the normal stripe, right? And so we could actually rotate it. Oh, wait. Yeah, so the big reason why there's a thing here. So there's the stripe, right? It's just a normal stripe. No? Oh, it's because of my... Yeah, I have a very extreme orbital. Yeah. So here we can see that, like, I start with just a normal stripe. And if you hit mirror, though, it actually cuts it in half because the left mirrors the right. And then you've got this like cool V. And you can do that with any of the skins or the patterns that have like a line to them. If you hit mirror, it makes it into a V. And then your rotation changes the angle of the V. So you can do some, like I just made it pretty extreme like that. And then you offset it up. Rotate it in. And now you've got like this like point. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So, but the point is that while the pricing is very confusing, I think it is pretty fair when it comes to the Nest store. But there is something that I really want to talk about when it comes to this, which is something that like really occurred to me to talk about yesterday when we were talking about it on Discord. But here's the thing. Over the last 10 years or so, this right here has become increasingly CCP's source of revenue, okay? Like, we can say cash grabs all you want, but for a few minutes here, we're going to talk realistically about the fact that you have a company functioning in a capitalistic system attempting to produce a product in order to provide for their staff to be able to have, you know, food and home and a happy life, right? Like there's the economics of it. So the reality is that this company needs to make money. Now, the problem is that, like I said, like if you look at the economic reports, like their actual like financials going all the way back to 2016, you'll see that especially as like the rise of the free-to-play and stuff like that happened, we see this shift, you know, especially during like scarcity and even before that, we see a dwindling player base, but they're still able to make money because they have these other offerings like skins in order to function as revenue. People buy the skins, that gives CCP money. That's what allows their servers to exist. Because game companies go under all the time, guys. So under the correct conditions, New Eden could go bye-bye, right? If there's no money, there's no New Eden. That's just the honest truth of it. So the reason why I bring this up is because you got to remember, no matter how good the SKINR system is, the top brass is looking at this as, hey, this is going to directly compete and undermine our primary stable source of good revenue for the last decade. The mechanism that allowed us to survive long enough to become, you know, through Valkyrie and all that stuff, in order to become bought out by Pearl Abyss and all this other stuff, like that main revenue source, the revenue source that most free-to-play video games, or a lot of video games, have been turning towards in order to be able to raise enough money to operate these increasingly expensive games, we are going to provide something that might make that stuff not valuable anymore. And that is a huge ask for the people that are responsible for the hundreds of people under their command, knowing that if they say, okay, go, and this ruins their entire economy, that's it, right? People can be upset all they want, but if CCP suddenly stops making money, that's the nightmare scenario. So from that perspective, there's two things to pay attention to. One, when we're looking at all these different confusing different aspects, all of these different missing pieces, or these different seemingly disparate, almost contradictory parts of the design in the SKINR, what I keep thinking back is user cases, right? Right? We look at this and we say, okay, well, what kind of person, what is our user stories, what is our use cases for why people are coming onto this thing and spending money, right? What causes people, what is the, you know, how is this store making money? Because the reason why they need to take every single one of those use cases and figure out some sort of parallel for it within the new system in order to make sure that this transition is to, if nothing else, to a system of equal financial productivity for CCP as a company, right? Or to put it a different way, here's the thing that it may suck, but it's true. If the SKINR system comes out and is a complete failure because nobody likes it, because it's too expensive and therefore nobody uses it, and everything else kind of operates as status quo, that's fine. They can fix it. They can change the prices. They can always make things more in our favor. Nobody's going to lose their goddamn mind if CCP removes one of these fees or whatever. But if CCP were to dare add additional fees, oh my God, right? So they would rather cripple and break their own feature than allow the feature to break the rest of the game. This is, the stakes are higher from a company level for this feature than any other feature that they have released in the last 2 decades, because it can single-handedly undermine the thing that is already proven to be working for them, right? So that's why that's why we see this incredibly conservative rollout of this feature, because it's like, they honestly do not care if everybody decides this is too expensive. They can always reduce the price and make everybody feel better. What they can't do is put the genie back into the bottle. Noisy gamer? That doesn't sound right? Which part of that doesn't sound right? Now, here's the thing. I don't think that they're not going to just kill off the feature, right? Because this is something that they've been working towards. This is something that they can navigate. The part about relying on the star, really? Hold on. That's my understanding, because they've shown that like their revenue from like, as their revenue from subscriptions went down, their revenue from things like skins and other Plex store stuff went up. Is that not true, Noisy? Am I just completely wrong and I should throw away this entire segment? Noisy's like one of the few people that could come in here and be like, nah, I don't think so. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, well I guess I'm totally wrong then. All right, well, the point remains that on a business level, they would rather this feature technically come out and not be highly popular because it's too expensive, and then work its way towards being acceptable, you know, than trying to work it the other way, where suddenly everybody has free skins and nobody buys skins anymore, and now they have to figure out a way to convince us to start giving them money for skins again. You don't have to pay Plex per step, though. I agree. I legitimately think that there's a lot of like top corporate brass meddling in this feature, personally. I'm just pointing out that like there's a reason why they err on the side of being too aggressively monetized rather than less aggressively monetized. The other thing is that this feature is being released like a year faster in the timeline than what anybody expected. So this feature is very immature at the moment. It doesn't even have a market. We can't necessarily trade stuff. You can tell that there's a lot of things that are sort of confusing and contradictory, right? Like when I make a skin, that's not a real object that I can trade. But then when I buy something off the market, I have to, like, it becomes a physical object. Like when I buy it off the Paragon Hub, it becomes a physical object that I then need to activate. But then I can activate it from anywhere and design it from anywhere. But then in order to sequence it, I need to have all of my sequence binders in the correct spot where I'm at, physically there with me, even though the result isn't a physical item. I'm just saying there's a lot of confusion when it comes to the way this feature works, and it shows to me that the feature isn't fully mature yet, but they've even admitted to that. So I think that this feature is definitely going to mature over time, and I like to say, I've been jokingly saying that right now what we are experiencing right now is the early access to the open beta. The open beta begins on the 20th. Right now is the early access for that. Is anybody surprised? Well, again, so like, look, all I'm saying is that on the one hand, corporate meddling. On the other hand, this feature above all other features, this is probably, actually, you know what? This is almost certainly the most sensitive thing that they have done, like from a business standpoint, since like since Alpha Program, right? Since the free-to-play. When it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to let people play your game for free. Like that's a huge ask, and that was a big risk by their regards. And in the same sort of way, this is the kind of thing, like it's one thing to have to convince the top brass that this feature will add value to the game. It is a whole nother can of worms when you're trying to explain to the top brass how your feature isn't going to destroy the game outright by ruining something that is already working. Right? Like this is why pauses still exist in the game, guys, because arguing that you should do something that has a little bit of net positive value theoretically, but disastrous potential to do damage, and if you just do nothing, then it's fine. Like that is a big freaking ask. They wouldn't want to trash the price of currently available skins too. Exactly. Yeah. The icons for the objects don't even look finished. You know what's hilarious? You know what the icon... Does anybody know what the icons look like? Hold on. Like, immediately, I knew exactly why their images look that way. Hold on. Anybody want to guess before I show it? Ha! Wizard got it. Oh, Clifford got it. Several of you got it. Yep. So for those of you who didn't know, this is what this is how Unreal displays their materials on what's called the Unreal Material Ball. So, that's how textures and assets are demonstrated as a way. Spaghetti code is just an excuse. Well, no, yeah, that's my point is that POS is like trying to explain to the top brass. It's like, oh yeah, I need dev cycles in order to do something that doesn't give anything to anybody, but might actually remove something for some people. Like that's not going to work. POSes are, at this point, I don't even think that POSes are still in the game because of spaghetti code noisy, because that's actually a pretty poor excuse at this point, because all you'd really have to do is just somehow remove all of the current existing copies of stuff, like all of the actual stuff that's out in space, and then just flag it all as invisible on the database. Like leave all the code there, just make it so that POSes don't exist in the game anymore. Just like there are skins that don't exist in the game, even though they're on the market, right? You could just do that if you wanted to, but there's still really good design reasons why POSes exist too. It's a whole kettle of fish. But that's my point, is that like, it isn't trying to argue that something won't be bad that could be bad is a much harder position than arguing that something is going to be, this amount of good, right? Oh yeah, this is going to generate, 10,000 more dollars. Okay, but prove it won't damage this $50,000 revenue stream or whatever. Yes, I know that they do get a ton of use in wormholes. There's a whole thing about it. I've made videos about why POSes haven't been removed from the game yet. Anywho, so the point is, when you're looking at a lot of these features, you got to see like, okay, well, let's apply these to use cases, right? Not necessarily feature parity, but use cases. And the reason why I bring that up is because there's this idea of like well, what about the pay to finish it up quicker, right? Well, the thing is that what is the number one use case? Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, from my personal experience, the number one use case for getting a skin is I'm in a fleet. I've been given the comp. It's a ship I don't usually fly, because I don't fly fleet ships all the time. And so I sit in the ship, and as part of my pre-check flight list, I check to see if I have any cool skins for it. Right? Does anybody do that? Does anybody else do that? And then if you don't have any cool skins for it, well, by God, you got to find one. So the first thing you do is you go through here, and you're like, okay, well, is there any of them that I can get for Plex? Is there any of the ones that I can get on the market? Hopefully I'm in a trade hub. Yeah, you don't undock without a skin on. Exactly. So, I'll log in my Jita alt and check to see like, okay, well, is there a skin that's reasonably priced that I can get right now? Right. And that's it. Like the best skin that's currently available that is there and is reasonably priced and I like it, then that's the one I'm going to apply on it. Right. So in the same way, when I go to the Paragon Hub and I check for people's skins, the fact that I could recreate it doesn't even factor into it, because I'm not there to make a skin for a fleet in 2 days. I'm there for a fleet that's we're taking off in 10 minutes, right? So a lot of the fact of like the time it takes to do stuff, the additional Plex costs to do stuff, etc., makes sense when you think about it from the perspective of the behaviors that they're trying to really, honestly, the behaviors that they're trying to monetize and the use cases that they're attempting to like add complexity to the interaction, which I think is actually kind of interesting. There is a lot of kind of clever interactions here with the fact of like, so here's another piece, right? These SKINR binders. We don't actually know how much these SKINR binders are, we don't know how much these SKINR binders are going to be worth, right? Because the SKINR binders, they were worth a lot, too much on day one, and then everyone got a box full of SKINR binders, and that made the price crash. But what that means is that we don't actually know how easy it is to get these things. We don't know how quickly the market will be renewed and continually, what the churn will be on these doodads, the ones that are used for unlimited skins. Now, we will get some, you bought so many, we will get some of them on, if you look in your opportunities window, you've got your new monthly track. On day 6, you'll get a box of SKINR Sequencer reward box, which is probably pretty close to the one that we got on the first. So that's going to be a reasonably decent supply of monthly SKINR doodads, but everyone got this reward as a login yesterday. Not that one. Everybody got this crate, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, I guess now. No, yesterday. The Sequencer Binder Welcome Package. And that's even called a Welcome Package instead of the Opportunities one, which is called something else. So it might be different amounts of stuff in them. Either way, my point is we don't actually know what the inflow is. However, we have found them in some very critical places. One, we have found them in the Abyss. You got them from the Abyss, Commander? Which Abyss was it? Do you know? We also know you got 3 boxes on 5 T1 Abyssals, so they seem like they're a fairly common item. Interesting, because I was doing Tier 4 Abyss and I couldn't find them there. Is that a daily login or is it earn daily task? So there's the daily login rewards, which is only for the next 7 days. That's the Equinox expansion. There is no general daily login rewards anymore. There is the opportunities window where you basically get 4 opportunities a day. And if you do 2 of them, you make progress on this track. Every 3 days you do at least 2 tasks, you will get unlock a reward. First Ever Marks, then SKINR stuff, then it is complex, and then finally some skill points. In addition to that, you get the actual rewards for the tasks themselves. You get, so like completing this task, you get 500,000 ISK and 500 Ever Marks per task. So if you do the 2 tasks, you get 1 million ISK, 100 or 1,000 Ever Marks, but you can actually do all 4 tasks if you want to, and then end up with twice as much, but you only get 1 day's worth of progress, obviously. So you get them from Nullsec, Data Relic, and Sleeper caches. Okay, so the one that we found was in an info shard. So here's the question that I have. We need to figure out whether or not they drop, like, not only if they drop in data sites, but in which data can specifically. And the reason why is because I started to notice and I realized that where they're putting this stuff is in a lot of cases places where there were good value, and that value has decayed away in the last, few months or few years, right? So the Abyss, right? The jackpots in the Abyss have lost a lot of their value. So adding a new item into there in order to add some extra data would be great. Now, the other one, and this is what gets me, and I might be totally wrong on this one. I have like 1 data point so far, but the one that Aridanika got it from was an info shard. And that's really, really important because info shards are the lowest tier data can. And the info shard is the can that provides the doodads for faction ships. The ones that used to be used in all faction ships, then was only used in pirate faction ships, and now is only used in capital ships because pirate ships now have the net resonators. So their value has gone from making data sites. So once those were released with the industry changes, it made it so that high sec data sites were better than high-sec relic sites, whereas null-sec relic sites were better than null-sec data sites, right? So high-sec data sites could theoretically be good. Oh, we will get to the salvaging. Just you wait. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so the point is that I suspect if it is true that they put these things more in the info shards, then they could be bolstering that low-end data site income to help people out. But if you're also getting them in nullsec, then that's fine too. Now the other key interesting thing, Evil Motorsports got 10 Kerr sequencers in the rats from a Garissa's Forsaken hub. Here's my question for you, Evil: was it just a normal rat, or was it the rare spawn? Because my understanding is that these are also dropping off of the normal, just trash mobs with trash loot, right? Not a rare spawn situation. So what this means is that if you, if you go into people's anomalies and loot and salvage it, or if you follow behind, and now if people loot and salvage their missions, which is something that people have kind of tended to not do as much anymore, like that might actually be really useful, because it seems like these Kerr sequence binders are actually dropping off any old rat, not special rats. Now, let's talk a little bit about Salvage 15 Rex. Okay, so today is particularly bad. I do have to loot the high-sec ones. I did not have any rare spawns on that site. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just trash mobs are dropping the the sequencers, which is pretty... That's what I'm saying. They're putting these things in places that don't have value right now that they want to kind of fluff up a little bit. Just to make it so that whatever you're doing, you go out there, you do stuff, you kind of get this stuff. You got it from Agrissa's mainframe? Okay. So it's not just info shards. So it's not the same as the, what are those things called? It's not a resonator. It's a condenser, right? Condenser, I think it was what they're called. Those are the ones that only drop from the, well, yeah, CMCs. Yeah. So it's not exactly like that. So they can drop from any of the data sites. I was just giving myself cope because I hacked 100 million ISK worth of stuff in nullsec and didn't get a single one. I have not gotten a single one anywhere. I've done the Abyss. I've done sites. I've done Yeet exploration. I've done it. I can't get them, man. It's everywhere. We had one guy get one for the new Shield Starbase escalation. Yeah. So yeah, they come a little bit from everywhere, but we don't know, again, what the rate is going to be versus the number of them that we require. Because somebody was saying that they got like 5, but you need like 400 or 2,000 or whatever. So try it on alt. They may have added code that if it ash don't drop, you know, not a bad idea. Okay, so Air daily goals, everybody gets the same 4 goals. So everybody's now today discovering simultaneously how bad the Salvage 15 Rex task is. Now, this is something that could be fixed. It could very well be fixed. But as of right now, and from my understanding, this is actually an old problem that we had in a previous issue. Oh, you got 145 for Mononic in mine? Okay, good. 75? Okay, so more than just 5. Got it. Well, then maybe it's going to be fine. It's just people are running data sites and relic sites like crazy. Has anybody found them in relic sites yet? Because I've heard I'm hearing a lot of data sites and not a lot of relic sites. Okay, you've got them in relics? Okay. So many stuff added that it makes Tech 1 haulers useless these days. Nah, Tech 1 haulers are great because they're cheap. I mean, that's the thing. I was jokingly talking about it earlier. Like, you can get yourself a Caracal Navy issue, or you can get yourself a Squall. Open fleet salvage. Any kind of salvaging works. But here's the problem, okay? if you successfully salvage a wreck, but that wreck doesn't give you anything, which when it comes to the normal riffraff wrecks out there, most wrecks won't give you any salvage, right? Not most, but or like, a certain percentage of it just won't give you any salvage at all, right? It turns out those don't count as being salvaged. So if the salvaging doesn't actually produce any salvage, if it's empty, then the salvage wrecks task doesn't count that salvage. So people are discovering that this task is salvaging a lot more than just 15 wrecks. Now, the good news is that you don't have to do 15, then 15. Once you've successfully salvaged 15, that counts for both of them. Yeah, C1 wormhole's looking pretty good right now, exactly. Scrap metal is loot. No, we're talking about salvaging. We're talking about salvaging. So you have to get the pieces for rigs by salvaging the wreck. It doesn't matter if the wreck has loot. It matters if the wreck, when you salvage it, successfully gives you some sort of salvage. You don't salvage about a quarter of the time. It could very well be, but yeah. So not only can your salvage attempts fail, but also that salvage can provide no loot. And if that salvage provides no pieces, no doodads, no salvage bits, then it doesn't count for salvaging either. So that's what a lot of people are finding as being painful. So they're having to salvage like 20, 25 or more. Yeah, those 15 will take forever. It really does remind me of like those old World of Warcraft missions where it's like, go collect 15 bear asses or, elk antlers or whatever. And then you go kill an elk and they don't drop, they're empty. And you're like, why don't you have horns? You should have horns. I need to get 15. Every single one of you should have a horn. I see your horn. Give me your horn. No, it has to be your own salvage. Salvage rates depend on the success chance of your salvage or salvaging skills, salvage drone skills, and if you're in a Noctis or... Yeah. But that's whether or not you successfully salvage. Do you think having space junkyards or Rex spawns be helpful? No, because I think that there's enough Rex get produced every day. They don't need to make artificial ones. In fact, they already make artificial Rex fleet fields. It's called Pochvin. Funnier when something with 2 horns drop 3 or 4. That's true too. Okay. Now the real question is, I think it's the same mechanic for the Salvaging Corp project. Yeah, that's the problem. I think so too. All right, some other news for the day. Unfortunately, I have to be regretfully inform you that Tripwire, public Tripwire, is going to be shutting down on June 30th. Now, Tripwire is one of the best mapping tools for wormholes and signatures and stuff used by a lot of organizations. The good news is that the Tripwire code is still available on Bitbucket. A lot of wormhole groups and other people that use this will host a local copy already, and they will still be able to do so. But this means that their public available to everyone Tripwire service will not be available anymore. This is due to personal issues. He talks about it a little bit. His wife deals with health issues, and it's led to financial hardship. And this is just a reminder that a lot of these guys that provide these tools for us do so not only as a labor of love, but do so out of their own pocket. Servers are not cheap. And so, here he can continue to work on the code, but it's the hosting of the server that is the thing that keeps him from being able to, or that's the thing he can no longer keep going. There already are people asking for his patron to stay up so that way they can continue to support him in spite of it. And I agree. Like, Damien has done a lot for the community, and, especially wormholers are very, owe him a debt of gratitude and have been kind of expressing as such. But, you know, just remember, you know, support third-party devs, man. In addition to that, we have an Equinox Plex sale. So right now, Plex, if you get 1,000 Plex, it's 25% off, all the way up to 20,000 Plex at 30% off. Is this a good deal? Obviously, it's a pretty decent discount. It makes it... I can't remember how that... Well, yeah, because it goes from $25 to $20, right? So it basically makes buying Plex the same amount as buying Game Time, right? Because 500 Plex... let's see. Let me make sure I have my math right. So 1,000 Plex is under $40. And that would be $20 worth of game time, right? I haven't paid for game time in so long. So yeah, these are pretty decent deals. Now, normally you would see these deals be spiced up with things like skins and other stuff like that, but that's the thing is that like we're kind of in a new world of whether or not you know, skins are even a good thing for CCP to be providing, or if it should be more like Skinner tools and stuff like that. And in a world in which all of this you know, the Skinner tool is coming out and everybody's dabbling with it, I think that just helping inject Plex into the system by having this big sale on Plex itself is not a bad idea. It's pretty simple. People that want the Plex will get the Plex. If you don't care, then you don't care. I will say that I have been capitalizing on this by putting up buy orders for Plex in various trade hubs because, you know, people will be buying this Plex and then selling it off. So I've been getting Plex at under 5 million ISK per unit this morning. Waiting for the Eve store to have sequence bundles. Already done, dude. Hold on. Right? Isn't it under packs? Yeah. 6 limited nano coatings, 6 metallic coatings, 6 limited... Oh, yeah, you're right. This doesn't actually have the sequence binders, but it does have the limited coatings, and those are... those don't require sequence binders. So... it's kind of the same. Should skins be replaced with patterns and other Skinner additives? That's the thing. I don't know. I imagine so, but I also think that, like they can still do things with skins that we can't do. So I think that, you know, traditionally the skins that come with packs like this are the most expensive, most prestigious skins in the game, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they still did skins in packs, because those are often incredibly over the top with particle effects that we cannot reproduce in the Skinner yet. CSP didn't bother making a good dark purple color, and it's not available in T3Ds and T3Cs, which is what I mostly fly, so I'm good. You know, the dark purple thing, I do agree that the purple that we have is very purple. Like, boy, howdy is this purple, right? I would, you know, and that might be one of those things that they add in later on where there's like a tint or something like that. Because if I could just turn this, like darken it a bit, lower its saturation, and like darken it a little bit or contrast it. That said, my favorite so far is this one right here, Entropic Alloy. This thing looks so fucking good. So good. I agree that if they took this red and they just added some, oh my, blue, just added some blue to this, so it's like this deep red, but instead of red, purple, mwah, that would be perfect. I think the big thing with skins is that CCP makes, that a skin CCP makes should be less system intensive than loading a custom skin with the same design. I don't think so. I mean, like, So that's actually an interesting piece to all of this. So, like, hold on. I noticed this on Sissy, and Malik noticed this last night. But, like... a lot of these skins just look better. Like, some of the even basic skins. Because all of the... you got to remember, like, basically, the same visual system controls both skins now, right? So I think that some of the older skins actually got, like, look a little bit crisper than they used to. Did Destroyers get a facelift? No. Are you talking about the Catalyst Navy issue? At the summit, when shown some of the SKINR stuff, the CSM started bringing color codes to the devs requesting specific shades. One CSM was sourcing Alliance logo colors. Yeah. You know what gets me, Mike? Here's the thing that gets me about that, okay? That isn't just about, like I get that players want to do it. They wanted to, like, having player stuff in it is great. And, like, getting the color from players' corpse and stuff like that makes sense. But what about the other way around? Here's a question. What is the official hex code for Galente Green? What is the official hex code for Caldari Blue? I don't know this. Do you? I don't think so. I don't think anybody does. There is no official, like, design board. No, and I have asked them, and they said, and I always get a no info. You can extract the information. You can devise your own way, methodology to figure out what colors they are. But my point is that there is no official guidance on what is Galente Green, what is, what are these, like, what is Sancha Green versus Galente Green versus, like, what are those colors? If I want to make a website that's styled like a Galente thing, what colors? Yeah, no, design docs. That's the word I was trying to use, or whatever. We don't have access to any of the color design docs or anything like that, and that's something that boggles my mind. And School Bus Yellow is a specific tone. That's true. But I'm just saying, like, I've had this problem for years because, like, as a Galente Faction Warfare member, right? Like, let's say I want to have a medal and I want to put, in medals, everything is fucking symbolic. So I want the exact correct color of green. Well, what is the color of Galente Green? It's like a tealish color. The logos aren't one color, though. They all have gradients in them. Yeah, well, that's the other truth. That's the thing. Like, what is... if the Galente have a banner color, what would that color be? I want official design. I feel like there's a better term than just design doc. There is... God. Isn't there a term for, like, that's beyond just design doc, that is, like, all of the standards to make it so that your thing looks the same as everything else's? Is it just design docs? No, like, so, like, in Android, we had all of these different things where it's like, gaps should be 3 pixels wide. These are the correct color, like, YouTube uses this red, Twitter uses this blue, headers should be this many pixels wide, text should be this font. Style guide! Fucking thank you. A style guide. That's what I meant. Art Bible is fine, too. I think style guide was the term I was looking for. Thank you. So here's the Trace Cosmos, guys. All right. What else? What else? Brand deck. Danny's got it. No, but style guide, like, usually when a website publishes, because what is Trace Cosmos Purple? That's a good question. The 9 on Windows Calculator is a single pixel off from the top left corner. Fun fact, do you know why there is no Windows 9? I know this is one of those things that people talk about all the time, or at least used to, but so basically the way it works is when you make code, you need to when you make a program, that program, no, it's not marketing. No, it's actually a marketing disaster that they had to do this. So when you write code, you need that code to often deal with multiple operation, OSs at any given time, right? So there was, at the time, Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows NT, Windows XP, okay? And the key here is that Windows NT and Windows XP, everything that came after Windows 98 had a different way of managing memory and a different way of managing like the underlying, like the system architecture that some code would work with, right? And so whenever there are multiple environments, you've got to test in your code to check which environment you're operating in. And so you say, like, and in this case, Microsoft has like a core variable where you can be like, hey, Microsoft, what version are you? And it's going to return back Windows 95, Windows 98, NT, XP, whatever. And so what you do is you say, okay, well, since it's Windows 95, Windows 98 is one thing and everything else is another thing, what we're going to do is we're going to check to see whether or not the version number starts with 9, because that will catch 95 and 98. But everything else, NT, XP, etc., will fail to validate. So if it has Windows 9 in its name, then that means that it's Windows 95 or Windows 98. And so there is code that is operating to this day. Blocks of code that are operating, that are checking to see whether or not it's operating on Windows 95 or Windows 98. And if they had introduced a Windows 9, that would have validated to true. And so those programs would have defaulted to old architectural systems and everything would have fucking collapsed. So either they would have had to write Windows 9 in order to be able to basically capture and perform everything that it's supposed to, like basically know what somebody might need to talk to it as if it was Windows 95 or 98, which is a much harder thing to do, or make it so that that doesn't validate to true. And the problem is that, there's some program on some web server that nobody knows about that is running some backbone process for like an entire major web service that hasn't been updated since 1999, because why would you need to? And so that code is still running on it. So if you introduced a Windows 9, a 9 machine, it would be a problem. And that is actually why. This is actually, so like anytime they update JavaScript, the number one thing that they have to focus on is to make sure it doesn't break old code. Because basically there's a contract that says, hey, if you wrote or an unspoken contract where code that was written in 98 will still work today, in theory, on that the changes that people make to the systems won't retroactively destroy systems that are working. So yeah, they had to skip from Windows 8 to Windows 10. That logic, there will be no Windows 19. No, because it wasn't Windows 1995 and Windows 1998. It was Windows 95 and 98. So it's just checking for literally it's checking for Windows 9. It's amazing how you can start with DOS and upgrade all the way to Windows 11 and get doomed to run on every version. Yeah. So yeah, that's the nightmare of software development. Okay. After Windows 11, there'll be no Windows 12. You don't need to worry about Windows 19. That's actually... Oh, that's a whole nother story. At any rate, SaaS is a plague. Let's see. Pretty sure naming it Windows IX or Windows 9 would have solved that. Well, I mean, either way. We were also promised no 11 after 10. Okay, so moving on. We also got a big update to Vanguard information today. Massive update to eVanguard. Attention, Vanguard. Since December, legions of founders have gone boots to the ground during First Strike playtests and have been instrumental in informing many of the improvements and additions that are coming in the upcoming Solstice event. This marks the biggest update yet to eVanguard and will help propel the development of the ultimate sandbox FPS within the EVE universe forward. Now, this is what I've been talking about for a while, guys. Like, paying attention to the how big of an improvement this is. This shows how big their iteration cycle is, okay? Because they've been working on this since at least January. Seize your chance to join the Vanguard. The Solstice event is an amazing opportunity to experience a massive update. The Vanguard has shaped the future of ground combat in EVE from 12th of UTC to 20th of June. On 1st of July, you can descend to the new planet. So on the 20th of June, all the way through the end of the month, you can join Vanguard. Now, actually, hold on. I do want to talk about something real quick. And make sure to give this advice to as many people that you know, because I would this is something that people need to know quickly before they make before they redeem their 7 days of free Omega time. If you want to get the most out of your Vanguard time and out of your 7 days of Omega, here's the way to do it. So check it out. There's two things at play. One, if you have Omega, you can access Vanguard. So you want to have as many days as possible where you can access, within that 7 day window that's after the 20th. So if you redeemed it today, you would only get Vanguard for 1 day, right? That's not great. But the other problem is that there's this that's 7 days remaining. And when you but if you have Omega, if you get Omega any time during this, it gives you retroactive advantages. So here's the secret. So 7 days is the 20th. So this lasts until the 20th. And so does the 7 days Omega. So if you go on the 19th, if you acquire all of these expedition rewards, and then on the 19th, really the 17th, 18th, well, the 18th, 19th, or 20th, when you're basically done with this track, if you then activate the 7 days of Omega, it will give you 5 or 6 days of Vanguard time and all of the rewards for being Omega within this track. Now, I don't know how that interacts with this system here. Somebody might be able to tell me if, like, they use the Omega on day 6 and see whether or not they still get the Omega rewards from day 3. That'd be kind of a cool thing to know. I was dumb on my alpha account, and I feel like CCP shouldn't have made that possible. Well, and that's the thing is that you can also pretty much recreate. Yeah, I don't know whether or not this is retroactive either. I do like the deployable miners. Yeah, we'll get there in a second. I know, like, if you did this on an account, if you have an alt, that you haven't used it on, I don't know if new accounts get the 7 days too, but just remember that 7 days will help get you access to both the login rewards and also to Vanguard itself. Okay. Yeah, so if you've unlocked those throughout the month, then you should be able to then get it once you get Omega. There you go. Okay, fair enough. Jeff. Sounds good. All right, we still got some news to get over today. Let's keep going. Fern 89 fermiotics from a null set. Okay, so the more I'm looking into this, the more I think I just don't get to get them. Got it. All right, cool. Good to know. So we can see here that this environment is very different than the previous environment. I think it's really cool. I wanted them to make an environment that was visually strikingly different than the previous one. This is a pretty good one, I think. As we talked on Tuesday, I personally believe that this is Evoken 4 or Evoken 6, and that the skyhook above Evoken is going to come under attack by Deathless supporters. Or possibly the Ashes of Turner. A highlight for the massive update from the Vanguard included in the Solstice event is the new map, which offers an immersive and stunning hazardous battlefield. This map features a unique flora that adds to the exotic atmosphere, as well as polluted waters that present new environmental challenges. Added verticality and much more, and more close-quarter combat brings new and different experience for the new and returning war clones. You'll encounter mysterious wreckage, possible remnants of an old facility, providing intriguing exploration opportunities. Navigating the cliffs will test your agility and tactical planning, while Skyhook connects the ground combat to space, creating a seamless link between EVE Vanguard and EVE Online. So that is a very weird question, right? So it seems like the Skyhook is going to be a center point of the combat, which is very interesting because right now Vanguard is happening in insurgency space, right? Because completing the contracts increases the corruption and the suppression in insurgent systems. Now, this does tie into the idea that it is Evoken 6 that we're fighting over, and that's the Skyhook that we're fighting over, is the one that the Upwell created as a prototype. But think about this for the future of Vanguard as a whole, right? We now have these new Skyhooks that are going to be used exclusively in sovereignty nullsec systems, but that ties into Vanguard, right? But it is possible, like the Vanguard stuff tends to only engage on temperate and barren planets, right? So the thing is that like right now, Skyhooks can be put on any given planet, but Skyhooks that are made on lava and ice planets are different than other Skyhooks because they are the ones that can be robbed by other people. And, you know, they have the whole, like, shoot at the shield, steal the stuff, etc., etc. So, you know, lava and ice planets, Skyhooks, have that special property to them. This could very well be a special property to be added to temperate, barren, and oceanic worlds, the ones that have personnel. This could be a new way to disrupt personnel chains of control within sovereignty nullsec systems that rely on Skyhooks for operations. They're just seeding these early tendrils together now, but the possibilities are super good. The Anhanuani has spoken, Ash. They say no fermiotics for you. Okay, thanks. Do the plants in the trailer look like that? Yes.
Fusion cores are primed for ascent. Copy that. The team is ready to
This is clearly... That is clearly the same planet. Look, they even have the same trees and everything. So the only thing that we have to prove, the only thing that we have to prove is that this planet... Hold on. Yeah, so they attack, and then while on... So you see the blowing up, and then on the planet, see, there's the Skyhook connection, and there's the things landing, okay? Now, the thing that we have to prove is, in this video...
Potential of the stars and planets you call home.
It shows that this video is taking place above Evoken 6. So this is the Upwell setup, and we can see like, so that is the planet. And you can also see the planet demonstrated here, right? It's a very temperate world. That's if we can, and they don't show, so here's the skyhook it shows. And so it doesn't show the flora around the skyhook here, and it doesn't show the trees or whatever in this image. So this could be a different temperate world, but if you're looking, here's the skyhook here. And then if we look here, there's the skyhook as it's coming under attack. And there's the planet that it's over. Which, I mean, you know, all temperate planets look alike, maybe. But kind of signs are pointing towards that being what happens, right? The planet from in the older trailer might not be the same texture. CCP changed all the textures. That's true, but it's not that old. Just to make sure that we understand. All right, so either way, boom. Another huge addition is the adaptive weaponry, allowing you to customize your arsenal with various chipsets. You can mix and match these chipsets to create unique configurations for your weapons and switch between these modes during a gameplay section. Additionally, session-to-session persistence has been added, enabling you to take items with you upon your next extraction. This includes chipsets, which can be used to modify your weapons and be brought back in subsequent deployments, and other items which will be converted to credits. So here we have a stash that's full of little items, and then we have a weapon, and that weapon has various different doodads assigned to it. The Solstice event will feature new industry-focused activities and objectives, offering new ways to test your valor, as well as cool new gadgets to deepen your planet-side experience. Secure salvage sites, massive loot deposits protected by shield barriers that you must hack through. So they were talking about this in a previous dev blog. They were talking about how they're adding in new like team-related tasks where maybe you'll have multiple people, like you'll have two different terminals, and each player will need to go and do something on their respective terminal in order to shut down the system. Mining rights. An open contract that'll have you discover anchor points around naturally occurring resources in the map, calling down mining vehicles once activated. You can use your you can use your handheld mining laser to break into escape pods jettisoned around the map to find valuable loot. Proximity mines, a motion scanner, and more gadgets will help you complete activities and contracts. A motion scanner sounds fun. Lastly, new weapon skins are being introduced, providing a powerful Mimitar look for the default weapon, inspired by Vanguard's predecessor shooter Death 514, as well as special skins for participants of various events themed around ongoing struggle between corruption and suppression in New Eden. Everyone who participated in the First Strike December event will receive the Arcambine gun skin, so that's like all the way back in December, like 6 months ago, which is a nod to the ongoing pirate uprisings happening in New Eden right now, as well as references to the legions of dust mercenaries who defected and joined the Arcambine pirate organization years ago. There's the Arcambine gun. That actually looks different than the one that they showed us before. Was like the black with white trim of the Arcambine skin in game. This looks a little bit different, you know, white and black. Those who finish at least 4 of the 6 basic event challenges over the course of the First Strike monthly pay test will get the EdenCom skin, representing the authorities fighting the suppression around the cluster. Man, let me, like, if you go back to this picture here, it's like, yeah, that's definitely pay to win. You know, that skin's gonna stand out like a sore thumb. Building Vanguard together one step at a time, the community has played a crucial role in shaping Vanguard. Thanks to the feedback of our founders, several significant improvements have been made, including an increased amount of loot available in crates dropped upon death, ensuring more valuable items for you to claim. Once these crates are empty, they will now despawn to keep the battlefield clean. Like right now, or like previously, the loot cans would just continue to pile up and be empty, and they were very annoying. The visibility of loot crates have also been enhanced, making them easier to spot in intense combat situations. Key bindings can now be remapped. Custom key bindings will be retained between sessions. It's the small victories. So you can set your suit to your personal style. Menus and user interfaces have seen significant enhancements. offering smoother and more intuitive experience. Camera movements have been refined for better gameplay immersion, and you can now sprint directly from a crouching start, improving your mobility and tactical options on the battlefield. We can see some dropship stuff going on. Pretty cool looking map. It looks like there's a lot, like this looks like a big space. The Solstice event is an exclusive opportunity to be an integral part of the Ultimate Shooter experience within EVE Universe. By participating in this playtest, you'll not only get to try an early build of EVE Vanguard, provide valuable feedback, and earn a wealth of rewards for participation, but you have a chance to shape the game from the ground level. Making your mark on the ongoing development process. Rewards are tied to achievements and in-game activities, so your dedication and skills are be well compensated. Vanguard who participate in the Solstice event have the chance to earn amazing rewards, including the Algos Archcombine Arisen skin for 80 units of reactive alloys and 900 units of energy ammo. I wonder whether or not there's going to be a way to track this as we go through it to see whether or not it's completed, or maybe let us know when we have completed it. That'd be really cool. We'll have to see. However, if we look at the previous Vanguard event, we'll see that what the task was 750 units of inert alloy and 250 units of reactive alloy. So, like a third of the alloy required in order to get the Algos. And then the Executor Navy issue Archcombine Arisen skin for 25 kills with each of the firing modes, 70 automatic, burst fire, and full auto firing. That is a big one, just because that represents 75 total kills. Now, it's interesting that neither of these suggest that you have to be part of a group in order to do them, unlike the previous ones. So I think that they're completely individual rewards for both of them. And they don't suggest that this is part of a meta reward, I don't think. We'll get to that in a second. Up to 3,000 plex for Vanguard to those who reach the top 10 in the leaderboard. In addition, everyone who plays for at least 1 hour with at least one deployment will receive a Solstice gun skin at a later date. More details about this skin will be revealed via the Vanguard Discord server. So at least log in for 1 hour and at least do one drop. Your efforts in the combat zone will not go unnoticed. These rewards will serve as a testament to your bravery and skill. How do you participate? You have to have Omega. You can claim the Omega for the 7 days of Omega later on and have that time cover into that. Otherwise, there is a War Clone Omega bundle for 14 days of Omega, including a Bargus Archcombine Arisen skin and the Moros Navy issue Archcombine Arisen skin. If you're Omega, you can already get ready to go, and you'll be invited into, or you'll be able to go into Solstice or Vanguard as soon as the Solstice event is ready. Stay up to date on the latest information at Vanguard and Solstice event through the upcoming live streams. The developer stream at 1400 on Thursday the 20th of June for a deep dive into the Solstice event. And the new additions to the Vanguard and Live 2 feed stream at 1400 UTC on the 21st will showcase all the new updates in action. So that is... So the 20th is next Thursday. So in 1 week from today, there'll be this presentation. And then, of course, I'll go live right after that, hopefully. And then we'll discuss everything, and then we'll jump into the shooter and have some fun for the next 10 days. Yes, if you already have Omega and then you grab the 7 days, it just tacks 7 extra days to your time. Well, my advice, try to find your ideal FOV and it'll reduce outright delete any motion sickness for you. That's, yeah, especially if, man, that's one of the things that makes it good that the settings are now going to persist. As long as shooting counts NPCs. I agree, but like my point is that like that's still 75 kills. That's not something that you're probably going to get in a single round. And it's 25 of each. So it's like, oh shit, I need to run around and do burst fire for a while. And you're still going to run into that problem if you can't track it automatically. All right. Last thing for the day. We have a new Nuita news. Started as of yesterday. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Oh, never mind. We're going to do Tranquilla Mare with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Tranquilla. Going to Rakaz, Merrick, David, Nick, Sofa, and Wayne Downey, and myself. Thank you so much Tranquilla, for all of that, for those gifted subs. You thought I was done? Yeah, almost. All right. Let's get started. Here is your New Eden news for June 12th. YC126. Upwell victorious in Federation while restrictions apply in Caldari State. The Galente Senate and Chief Executive Panel have both approved Upwell workforce transfers shortly after the first Upwell clone bodies became available. Labor populists besmirched by Upwell transfers bill sails through Senate. Valor, essence. The Galente Federation Senate has passed a bill allowing Upwell workforce transfers within the Federation. The bill was passed by an overwhelming majority thanks to the support of both the Progressive Union and Federalist Liberals. President Agard, a vocal proponent of the new transfers, welcomes the results as a victory for the public good. The labor populists opposed Upwell's workforce contracts but were unable to secure cross-party support for their position. The new Sociocrats and Intaki Autonomists both abstained from the vote despite initial signs of opposition to the transfers. Valor insiders have informed the scope that the two parties were keen to distance themselves from the labor populists following the recent controversy. Over the last few weeks, labor populists have come under fire for their past associations with Tybalt Taylor, an outspoken leader of the Galantia Primacy. The Primacy has been in the news recently following a failed attack on Intaki Prime. A former senator and Labor Populist Party member, Taylor was removed from the party for his ultranationalist views. The party was denounced Taylor and condemned the Primacy, but this has been undercut recently by circulated holoreels of party members endorsing Taylor for the Senate. The endorsements predate the FIO's discovery of Taylor's terroristic connections, but have damaged their party's reputation nonetheless. How the recent embarrassments to the Senate and Senate defeat will impact the long-term future of the party remains to be seen. Whatever the outcome, today marks a significant victory for the Progressive Union and Upwell. Chief Executive Panel allows restricted Upwell transfers. New Caldari, The Forge. The Chief Executive Panel has voted 5-3 in favor of allowing Upwell transfers, albeit under strict conditions. The mega corporations voted along faction lines, with the Forest faction voting in favor and the Ocean faction voting against. The vote was passed thanks to a last-minute decision by the Mountain faction to support the transfers. The Mountain faction, which consists of Sugavesta and Calichiota megacorporations, has long been associated with security and stability within the state. Following a meeting between Sugavesta and Upwell executives last week, the faction presented the panel with an amended proposal. The new proposal included additional restrictions on transfer, granting greater control to the Caldari corporations and the state. The amended proposal includes the right to deny transfers on the basis of active corporate interests and state reservation requirements. This gives a transfer applicant current corporation a right to block a workforce transfer if they deem the individual necessary to their operations. It also allows the state to deny the transfer of individuals it considers important to state interests, and to limit the transfers to ensure a sufficient pool of reserves is available for future service to the state. The decision has been regarded by economic analysts as a loss by the Ocean faction, but only a Pyrrhic victory for the Forest faction. Akimaka Saraki, chairman of the Chief Executive Panel, told the press at an announcement on New Caldari that, quote, "Stability is achieved when two sides apply equal pressure, and compromise is won when neither side can claim true victory," end quote. News in brief. Edencom reports suspicious redeployment of Triglavian reinforcements in Pochvin. Concord releases intel on updated Sancha tactics as the nation shows greater reservation in committing motherships to incursions. New net resonators in specialist ship designs under scrutiny by Concord for suspicious origins. Galantia Primacy terrorists found guilty of conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism on Intaki. Alexander Dukas holds gala in Orafe to celebrate release of SKINR for ship platform. So, just a little bit, or that is your news for June 12th, YC126. Now for some analysis. So the Labor Populist Group, which has been, like, there's been a lot of stuff about the politics and the kind of the realignment of political forces in the Galente. So far, the president has done a really, really good job staying one step ahead of her opponents within the Senate. And this is just another good example of it. You know, the Labor Populists were trying to use... Celis Agard has focused on automating the industry systems of the Galente significantly more. And this has caused the labor populace to get kind of uppity because with a bunch of automation that kind of hurts the labor forces, you know? So like there was kind of an edge for that, but she's really, really good at keeping her political opponents on the back foot. Now, this whole thing about the Galentia primacy and its connections with the Senate, if you want some tinfoil, I will remind you that I'm pretty sure Tilbar Taylor was one of the senators that got elected during the election that was considered to be potentially manipulated by soft drink-induced nanocontrollers as a partnership between LIDAI and Quaif. So, yeah, you could easily have some very interesting conspiracy theories around this guy, Taylor. But, yeah. The point of the matter is that it certainly has undermined the authority and the position of the enemies, or, you know, the political opponents of Sela Sagard, as she has attempted to continue to push forward these sweeping industrial changes and political and, you know, changes of power within the Galente Federation. Meanwhile, the Caldari have also realigned their positions into, you know, they used to be Patriots, and there were 3 different blocks, and they rearranged their blocks into the Forest faction, the Mountain faction, the Ocean faction. The Mountain faction is by far the 2 largest mega corporations in the entire thing. And the Forest faction is the kind of shadier one. So, like, the Forest faction is PKN, which represents LIDAI, NOH, and CBD. And they were in favor of this proposal, whereas the Ocean faction, which includes, I believe, Akimaka Saraki, I think Akimaka Saraki's group is from the Ocean faction, if I remember correctly. So yeah. As of right now, that means all 4 of the empires have shown at least moderate favoritism towards the clone transfers. I think that the Empire is now the furthest behind, the MR Empire, given the fact that the Empress spoke positively scripturally about it, but didn't sign an edict about it. I think that they're the only ones that have not, like, 100% formally accepted the clone transferring to Upwell. But in the news in brief, we have, okay, so the Edencom redeployment of Triglavian reinforcements in Pochvin likely is something involving the conclusion of the last month's event with the strife between the Trig and the Drifters in the Abyss. But also at the same time, they love to bring up Pochvin and the Trig doing stuff in the news in brief. So I wouldn't necessarily read too much into it at the moment. NOH makes me a big fan of the Forest faction. What's NOH doing right? Concord releases intel on updated Sancha tactics. That's to represent, like, so now the mothership won't commit for 3 days. You cannot spawn the mothership for 3 days of high-sec incursions and 1 day from low-sec. So that's all that means. New net resonators and specialist ship designs under scrutiny by Concord for suspicious origins. So this net resonator thing has become a really big controversy with a lot of people. The biggest thing to pay attention to, guys, is Mortis Legion, Serpentis, to a lesser extent Sancha, and then also Blood Raiders. Because those are the pirate factions that don't have really easily accessible LP stores. And I think Mortis Legion might be the worst one of them. So the net resonators that are required to build pirate ships now are gotten out of their respective LP stores. So while, like, this is a huge benefit to Garistas and Malachim Zealots and stuff like that, the Angels and Garistas faction warfare groups, and it's pretty decent for even, like, SOE faction or SOE mission runners. It is a huge thorn for, like, Mortis Legion people, where a lot of Mortis Legion BPCs are gotten by running the belts in low sec, but in order to build those BPCs, you need net resonators that are only gotten through Mordu LP stores. So that Mordu LP is likely to become incredibly valuable until, of course, CCP fixes it somehow. As the wizard points out, the net can and probably should be accessible in data sites, for example, as a way of, you know, slowly collecting them. because having it only be part of the LP store is probably going to cause some pretty significant issues, especially on those edge cases. I think Morty's going to be the worst one. Galantia Primacy Terrorist guilty. Yeah, that's just a follow-up on that. And then Alexander DeCoste, that's just he's the head of Evermark, or Paragon and Evermore, who are the people who just released SKINR for ship platforms. So that is it for your New Eden news and analysis for today, or rather, I guess yesterday as we recorded this, June 12th, YC126. I have been Ashrathi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space. Okay, so that's it for that. Burn Paragon. Eesh. Pirate factions need high-sec agents. Yeah, so we're going to be wrapping things up now, though, guys. Comments, questions, concerns, anything else that I've missed? The lore doesn't affect gameplay, right? No, the lore absolutely gives us often hints and warnings about what's going to happen, and also reports things that has happened. So I would say the lore does directly affect gameplay. I got dropped in off-array while you were doing that. Nearly had a heart attack. While I was doing what? Reading the New Eden News? All right. Oof. Well, hope you're okay. I'm betting that the Skyhook in Caldari space is going to be attacked by one of the Caldari factions. So the wizard, the Skyhook, so that's off-ray, or that's not off-ray, whatever. Avoikin 6 is the one you're talking about, wizard. And the thing is that in the video, so we talked about this yesterday, but in the video we can see that the attack is happening by a bunch of Caldari, but there are definitely a few. They show it. Hold on, where is it? That's a claymore. That's a tornado. That's a tornado. Not a tornado. Hurricane. Those are hurricanes. And then that is, we figured this out yesterday. It's not a Munin. It's the hack. Or Hick, rather. Is there an Octopus Squadron skin for the Wyvern? I'm not sure. No? I don't see one. So this is a mixture of Caldari and Mimitar ships, which is why I think it's an attack by the Deathless. Also, the Vanguard landing directly afterwards makes me think that this is an attack by the Deathless. Well, yes, the Caldari... Yes, the Deathless. The Deathless has been operating with Caldari, a mixture of Caldari and Mimitar forces for a couple of years. Broadsword, thank you. Your Vargur survived the gank in 12% structure? Hell yeah. There's no entry point into the pirates in some backwater 0.5 system. No, it does not seem odd to me that there is an absence of highly secured by Concord corridors to the heart of pirate-controlled space. The security of the system represents how much authority Concord has in that system, how much power that they can project within that system. So the closer you get to pirates, the less you get to Concord. Is it more likely to be deathless since it is an interdiction to high sec? Well, okay, hold on. So, all right, fine. I'll undermine my own argument, okay? Fuck. I wanted to leave this part out. No. If you look at the Skyhook pictures, it's all what I say makes sense, right? But the problem is that they're also attacking a Metanox moon drill, and at one point, you see that they are setting up a sovereignty hub. So those things, those pieces, those details are in fact inconsistent with this being a Voikin 6, right? So yes, there are waverins, and the system is... Pirate groups can use waverins. Remember, the EOM dropped a fucking Titan on Tanu 2. So... That's my point, is I think that this is... so, if this is an actual attack that's happening in a Voikin 6, I think it's going to represent a massive escalation in a demonstration of power of the Deathless. I think that they just kind of merged it a little bit with the nullsec stuff just because it makes it a good video. I personally think that the intention here is that this is a setup for a Voikin, and also it's to show off some of the nullsec stuff. I think that they are taking a little bit of creative liberty on that. A buff to the agency sites in Pochvin? No. So the major change in Pochvin is they took further steps to combat seagullers in the biggest sites. I think that was literally like the only change to Pochvin. I was actually, if you go back, I got kind of upset that CCP was like, oh yeah, the Pochvin changes, and it was one change, and it was just to trying to make the dread sites not seagullable, which is whatever. I get the human why broadsword and claymore? Boosts? Now, you know what would push it over the top? If we saw Draugrs in here, which we don't, but if we had a Draugr in this picture, then that would be even better evidence. Oh yeah, there's a hurricane over there too. How do you like that SpaceX command op room? I dig the whole like go no go for launch thing. Like this is pretty cool. I dig this whole setup. All right. Well, oh yeah, and somebody was talking about how in the pictures for the Vanguard stuff, was it Malik? Somebody's talking about how it looks like it's a wreckage of an avalanche, and it definitely looks like there's an like that looks like an avalanche. So if that's actually wrecked into the ground and not floating in space above it, then yeah, that's probably pretty true. But that looks like the end of the avalanche right there. It doesn't look like it's broken on that part. You can see, like... See? Oh yeah, you can even see like the two doodads at the edge here, at the end, at the front. See it there, and then you can even see it like right at the top, coming out of the shadow. So yeah, there's definitely an avalanche in the picture. All right, but like I said, this is going to be, after this, it's summer break for my son. So it's going to be a lot more touch and go, although he's old enough now that hopefully it won't be as bad as like the previous summers where I couldn't really stream at all. So of course, you know, I appreciate everybody's support, and you know, people did help out with my son's graduation party, which I really, really appreciate. And his birthday is coming up next month, so I am trying to, you know, make sure to give him a good birthday party too. So I do appreciate everybody's support for the stream and the channel, both in gifted subs and the shout outs and super chats, etc. But also just those of you who just watch the whole video, share it with a friend, etc. Those are the things like that actually make the YouTube channel alive, you know. So I appreciate both kinds of support equally. You guys are all awesome. I'll be around as much as I can be. Go ahead and hang out on the Discord, and consider joining the Convocation Imperians or the Invited. We've been out running around doing cool stuff. Actually, here's a new offer, okay? Those of you who are interested in getting involved in the faction warfare stuff, the Invited has initiated our new program. Here's the way it works. We now offer, when you join the Invited, we have a 20% LP tax. So we take 1/5 of all of the LP that you earn while you're out there plexing. But we pay you 1,500 ISK per LP on that tax. So 1/5 of your LP that you earn out there doing plexing and stuff is automatically converted into ISK at the rate of 1,500 ISK per LP. And then, so that way you end up with, you know, 4/5 of your LP and enough liquid ISK to actually do stuff with that LP, and also to, you know, support your major operations. This LP tax is then used to build angel ships and other stuff for us to sell to keep the engine going, but also so that way we can provide free or not free, but like lower cost, or at least, you know, reasonably costing mecha balls and other ships like that for our members to use out there in the war zone fighting things up. Oh yeah, 1,500 is a very good payout. A lot of other groups are doing much less than that. We wanted to do 2K. My original choice was, my original want was to do 2K, but unfortunately, if we were to do it at 2K, because, you know, like, basically that is it. The more we charge ISK per LP, the more the mecha balls cost. So the more we charge you, or the more LP, the more we give you guys ISK per LP, the more we have to charge you for the mecha balls. So if we do 2,000 ISK per LP, we actually have to like oversell you on the mecha ball by like 30, 40 million ISK, and that's not great. So we decided that like a happy medium so far, you know, 1,500 ISK per LP. So if you're interested, the Invited is recruiting. Go ahead and hit us up in Discord or in game. And of course, if you haven't gotten your free million SP yet, make sure to use the link down below or in the chat in order to get a free million skill points. That's 40 days of alpha training, 20 days of omega training for free to use on whatever you want. I recommend saving it till you can actually, like, you need it to use something right this second, but you know, all that's available to you guys, and it does help support the channel if you use the link. A lot of militia empires do bulk LP buybacks. Yes, well, even my understanding is that the other, like, one of the Grissus groups, one of the big Grissus groups, is doing 1,000 ISK per LP. I'm trying to make sure that we give the best rate that I possibly can without making my beam counters koomy. Any rate, so all that said, I've been Astronauthy. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even to context for you, my fellow Imperians. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for checking things out. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you for commenting, participating, checking out the merch, buying a mug if you did, sending pictures if you do, etc., etc. You guys are all awesome. But either way, I've been Astronauthy, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space. Where is it? Buy merch!
Bring on the wrecking machine.
For the guineas!
Every city you burn, I'm gonna build high. Bring on the wrecking machine, setting your dreams of heaven on fire. Bring on the wrecking machine. Bring on the wrecking machine. Bring on the wrecking machine. Gonna ignite your every desire. Bring on the wrecking machine. For every city you burn, let it burn, let it burn, let it burn. For every city